Hello, and welcome again to Talking Baseball with Leon Lee. Today is July 22nd, 2021, and I'm here again with Mr. Leon Lee. And today, Leon, we have a pretty good Sacramento connection going on that I'd like you to introduce.
Yes, I will, Steve. I really appreciate it. It's good to be back on with all of our fans out there, especially getting some good feedback from overseas in Japan. So I'm introducing tonight. We have one of our regular guys was one of my dearest friends in life, and one of the better infielders that we've seen come out of the Sacramento area. We have Eddie Cervantes. How you doing tonight, Eddie?
I'm doing well, Leon. It's good to be back on here. I've missed a couple of the episodes, and looking forward to it. I was good.
Yeah,
It was good. I was pleased that I was able to suggest getting Greg on here for this one because you were asking me, and so it's good to see him.
I appreciate that too, because you just got back from the Rogue River and rafting and being an adventure, and then I couldn't get him, Greg. I couldn't get him for 3 days because he had back spasms. So as we get older, and another special guest, we have Todd Sullivan, a dear close friend, coach, pitching coach, work with young kids. He's the one that actually put on a really nice event at Raley Field a few weeks ago featuring the Atlanta Black Crackers and the Kansas City Monarchs. And we had a great crowd at the AAA field at Raley Field. And we're really glad to have Todd Sullivan on tonight. How are you today, Todd?
I'm great, Leon. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with all you guys.
And last but not least, that we're missing a couple of our guys this rotational, but I'm really, really exceptionally pleased to have Greg Orr on. Now, Greg was a top-notch scout for 35 years with the New York Yankees. He's been with the Minnesota Twins. We all tried to get him retired. He's getting old. He can't move much like he used to before. And then all of a sudden I found out he's still with Pittsburgh Pirates. And he's getting ready to go up a trip in the Northwest. Or at least he's not going to the East Coast. But I really like having this guy here. I'm telling you, is a walking baseball encyclopedia. And we've had many, many, many hours of conversation. And along with, he's a mainstay in the Sacramento area. And I'm just really pleased. And we're going to talk a lot about scouting tonight. And there's nobody, not only on the West Coast, but I don't think in the country that knows more about scouting. So we're going to introduce and start this thing off with Mr. Greg Orr. How you doing, Greg?
Hey, Leon. Thanks for the opportunity and for the invite. This is fun. This is special. So there's nothing better than talking baseball.
That's right. Real baseball.
Yeah.
Because, Eddie calls me Greg, and you can get in this and feedback because me and Eddie talk. We watch Major League Baseball nowadays with all the analytics and the different thought processes. I know that I heard they were getting away from putting the runner at second base on extra innings and some of the deals that they've been trying, 7-inning ball games, trying to hurry the game up. And we pick at pieces. I saw a rundown last night that just ain't supposed to happen, about a 10-throw rundown. Thank God it worked. But there, what are you seeing in the game nowadays that just drives you bananas?
Well, there's
or different or works.
There's a number of things. On the baseball end of it, I've done the amateur thing. I've done the major league thing. I did the American League, National League for 20 plus years and all that. What's happened to the game, I think analytics came in, and analytics is fine as a tool, but I think too many of baseball administrators look at the analytics as a cure-all, and they're making multi-million-dollar decisions based on analytics. And that's why now baseball, as all you know, has become a power game. It's a power game on both sides of the diamond. Fans come to the stadium to see home runs, and hitters are swinging for the fence. Pitchers are throwing to the radar gun to try to get triple digits. So, yep. I mean, Eddie and Leon, would you ever believe that 200 punch outs in a season would be acceptable? Never in a million years.
Ever.
But it's acceptable now,
It
based
is.
on the analytical configurations and the formulas that these guys are coming up with. Don't get me wrong. I'm not totally against the analytics. I think there is some value to it.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what analytics does for me. It forces me to ask myself good quality questions.
Yes.
That's what it does. You know, I mean, you like this guy, whether it's a pitcher or a hitter, his numbers are down. That's when analytics come in to find out where, why, and what. But to make the final decisions, no, I can't. I can't do that.
I agree. Now, on Todd's case, he runs a program called Pitching Solutions, and he's working with pitchers a lot. You know, you got a lot of technology. But Todd, I'm going to ask you. You work on velocity too, building arm strength and velocity. And for me, as a scout like Greg, velocity is one thing, but pitchability is really the most important thing. Now, in your view, I mean, you agree? I mean, it's one thing, you know, have arm strength and velocity, but along with it, how important is command?
Command is the most important. You know, as far as I'm concerned, the most important thing in baseball is first pitch strike. And what I'm seeing today, you know, I'm the pitching coach at Consumnes River College too, so I'm out there with Juno,
right?
Your buddy there, Leon. You know, and he's there, and I totally agree. You know, I do use, I work with Pitch Logic. You know, Larry Sorensen, who pitched in the majors for a long time. I'm doing a lot of stuff in research and development with these guys. And, you know, I'm old school too, you know, but the one thing I use the analytics and metric on is letting these kids see how they throw the ball so incorrectly. It's amazing on how many kids these days don't even know how to throw the ball properly. And I really think it's due to not having a good enough coaching staff out there to teach the kid. Yes, it's a game, and I think it's a little league fault. But when it comes to the academies, once they leave little league and they think they know the game, and they go to the academy, and every kid's throwing under the ball, they're throwing around the ball, they can't throw the ball straight, you know. And it's like, hey, now make me a pitcher. Well, we got a lot of work to do. If you can't pronate the ball, you can't learn to incorporate, you know, a straight spin, there's no way you can even play any position in the field. You know, you can't throw under the ball and have the ball take off, you know, to the left or the right and be able to play at any collegiate or high school level.
Yeah. But I always ask Eddie. Eddie always talks about footwork and stuff in the middle infield. Pitchers pitch a certain way. I know nowadays it's different because they got so many shifts. I see all these guys, you know, catching the ball, throwing it on the run, and everything is fancy. I see more balls flying around, unnecessary, like they say in tennis, unforced errors. And Eddie talks about footwork, but then at the same time, I go to Eddie and then I go to Greg. Greg is scout. He's looking at talent, but what is really talent if you're learning things to do a specific thing that may not even apply to you? I mean, your natural instincts are one thing, but to me, I don't believe in right and wrong. You know, I've scouted guys that have been successful with weird swings, but it's the results, it's consequences, it's things that come out of it. And the matter of opinion of how a scout says or a coach says, do it my way because that's the right way. Well, there's no such thing as right if you're not letting that guy do the things he's naturally gifted to do, you know?
Right. I agree. And the problem with a lot of that stuff, you know, we talk about footwork with infielders, how that's one of the more important aspects of playing infield is having good footwork. But like you said, all this different shifts that they're putting these infielders in is creating situations for them to be off balance, receiving throws. You hardly, I'm not going to say hardly ever, but less and less they're getting into double play situations where you can have normal attack of the bag or pivoting at the bag using footwork. Once in a while you're going to get it still. I'm still seeing it on TV, but a lot of times they're third baseman is covering second on a feed on a double play situation, and he's off balance, and he doesn't know how to use his feet, and they're throwing on the move, throwing off balance across their body, or just turning, and they're not prepared for the things that, for example, a shift. We were talking about this the other day, Leon, and for the other panel members, you've probably seen this. I know they played it where the Yankee runner from first base scores on a ball that doesn't leave the infield. And Greg and Todd, I don't know if you saw this. You may have. Glaber, he was on first base. Ball hit. They're in the shift with the left-handed hitter. Ball hit up the middle. Second baseman tries to field it. It hits his glove, kicks away from him a little bit. Third baseman is moving towards second to receive the throw and the force. The runner going to second sees that he's not going to retrieve the ball in time, and there's nobody at third. So he just continues running. Well, the catcher on a late move, he tries to beat the runner to third base. The runner sees that, he's not going to beat him there, and he continues. The catcher can't stop and go back, and the infielder ends up, eating the ball. And why does that happen? Well, in practice or in spring training, you go over all these bunt situations. You go over where you're supposed to go in certain situations. What they aren't doing right now is when they put them in shifts, where do you go when things go a little awry? And that's, apparently they're not telling them, okay, look, in this situation, if that third baseman isn't covering third, catcher, just like on a bunt, what do you tell? Bunt down third baseman comes up to field it. Where's the catcher go? Well, he knows because they've done it over and over. He just switches. He goes to third. They didn't do that. Now, have they been told it? Have they worked on it at all? Who knows? Well, they didn't do it that day. And my guess is they weren't prepared for it. So, yeah, the analytics, like you're saying, Greg, I have no problem with figuring out the best percent. Baseball is a game of percentages. Baseball is a game of gambles. I mean, double play situation. What have we always done? Boom. You gamble. You move in to receive, try and get that ground ball sooner than if you're playing back so that you have a better chance of a double play. Well, what are you doing? You're gambling because there's a better chance. Now that ball can get by you, but you're gambling that the percentages are that ball is going to be, if you know how to position yourself according to the particular hitter, better percentages are that it will be hit in your area of coverage so that you can get to it in reasonable time. Once in a while, hey, the guy finds the hole, and so be it. But analytics, all it is playing the percentages and trying to create that on the field. I just think it's extreme. It's extreme positioning. It's extreme. You're taking away the thinking aspect from the player. Player looks, okay, they're taking off their hat, they're pulling out a piece of paper from their pocket, and they're going, okay, what do I do with this hitter now? And instead of using your head and knowing, okay, I've played against this guy, and okay, who's my pitcher? Okay, this guy, okay, I'm going to play him to pull a little bit, and I shift a little bit. But they've got them moving extremely, and I think that's the only difference. How
do you scout? How do you scout that though, Greg?
Well, I agree exactly what Eddie's saying in the sense that, I got a hard time with players being manufactured. I don't like
there you go.
You know what I mean? Baseball, in my opinion, is that, when you start talking about players, especially younger players, we're looking for tools, and what tools are going to turn into skills. As we know, skills play in the big leagues, right? Tools don't play in the big leagues. Skills play in the big leagues. Well, what are skills? Well, skills are something that you bring to the yard every day. That's skills. What Eddie's talking about is something that I think we, as baseball people, undervalue the skill of critical thinking at critical times because of coaches' interventions. The coach is telling the players every single play or every single pitch what to do and does not give that player the opportunity to think for himself. So if he doesn't think for himself, how the hell is he supposed to know what to do when he gets to that next level? So exactly. I think the critical thinking is huge. I also believe that I don't have a problem with the shift, and especially from a hitter standpoint, because goddamn, if they're giving you the whole left side of the doggone infield and you can't stay inside the ball, go oppo, and not hit 400, there's a problem.
Yeah, so that's what we're talking about. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, players are hitting into the shift, and of course the batting average suffers this and that. Well, the way the game is now, we talked about it earlier, is that it's a power game. Everybody wants to jack. The days of manufacturing runs is just about over. So the shift, you know, when I start looking at middle of the diamond players, and let's face it, that's the glue of any team, the catcher, short, second, center field. When I look at those guys, those should be your best athletes on the field. They should be. Unless the defense, and then if you have a defensive player that's a game changer defensively, then now you have something. But as far as I'm concerned, the bat is the most important tool that there is in baseball. I think if you hit, you're going to play this game a long time. And I also believe that there are more hitters that are born than they are developed. So and I'll go as far as to say this, especially on a big league level. And you guys can disagree with me if you want, but I believe, and after doing the big leagues for 20 some odd years, you know, both American and national, I've come to the conclusion that I believe that 90% of the big league players are overachievers, with that 10% just being touched by a higher power. Okay, which leads me into kind of another area. If 90% are overachievers, what do you have to overachieve? Well, your makeup got to be off the chart. Okay, that's number one. You know, your dedication, desire, and all that stuff.
When you say makeup, explain makeup.
Okay, I look at it two different ways, Leon. You have makeup and you have character. Okay,
yep,
makeup for me is on the field. Character is off the field. So, as an example, a character cat is a guy that will go help a senior citizen carry her groceries across the street. That's a good character cat, right? You know what I mean? Or the same cat will go and rob a candy bar from a senior citizen. That's a bad character. Makeup is the guy that is a team player that is going to be prepared to play the game. He's not going to bitch and moan where he's hitting in a lineup, et cetera, et cetera. That's makeup. That's where that comes in. So you can have great makeup and be a piss poor character guy, and vice versa. So I think what happens, we get it confused sometimes that, oh, geez, this guy's a good makeup guy. What the hell you got? What the hell are you talking about? He just got out of jail. What do you mean he's a good makeup guy? So you know, it gets into that. But getting back to my percentages, 90% of big league players are overachievers. The only way to overachieve is to have makeup off the chart. And not everybody's blessed with the intangibles to play at the highest level and succeed. There's very few. So as far as but getting back to the shift situation, I know I'm bouncing all over, but I like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's just another challenge for hitters. Hitters got to be able to manipulate the barrel, which they don't. Infielders, Eddie, I'm looking at my infielders as being athletic enough to have the footwork. I think that's kind of that athleticism that comes out of them, where playing on the other side of the bag shouldn't be that much of a problem. It shouldn't be. And as you know, Eddie, listen, especially infielders, it's all about the ease of actions, right? That's what I look for in an infielder. The ease of actions, playing with confidence, playing without the fear of failure. That's
big. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean,
all kids are playing scared now. That's how they play.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Give me a kid that has the fear of failure, and I'm going to give you a defensive type player on both sides of the diamond. He's not going to want to get after.
Yeah.
So, and that's huge.
But don't you think, Greg, that's because coaches now are controlled? They're telling the player everything. Tell them. Now, if they don't do it the way the coach says, they set up for failure, right?
Hey,
yeah.
We used to call it it's a thinking man's game, right? But they took the think out of it. The coaches are now telling you what to do.
Exactly.
So, back when we played, we all had an idea. We had, little charts that we had, bench players take, and we're saying, hey, here's their lineup. This is who you're going to be facing, since I'm pitching. So I already have an idea of what type of swings I'm going to be going up against, or if I'm playing third base that day, I already have an idea who's going to be hitting it hard towards me. So as long as my the pitcher, if I'm at third or if I'm pitching, as long as I hit my spots back then, we're able to pitch to our defense. That's totally gone out of the way. Even when you set up the shift, hey, we know all good hitters. They're waiting for pitchers to make a mistake, right? And trust me, I made plenty of them. I got tired of looking up to the sky numerous times. But the fact goes is these coaches are really, it's a reactionary game. But when you're looking at a card, you're already thinking about, I don't want to make a mistake, because if I don't do what the coach is telling me what to do, I'm going to get in trouble or something like that. Back in our day, hey, we already had our responsibility. We knew what we had to do. Our thought process is down, and all we had to do is read and react and take care of the situation. And if we made a mistake, hey, nothing was said until after the game. The umpire, the coach would come by and just say, hey, under this situation, maybe we should have done this, or, maybe you should have just slowed it down. But, we would always communicate as a team. But nowadays, it's like the responsibility of the position player is gone.
Well, on that, Todd, let me ask you a question, and this is for everybody. If there's the first of all, a power arm, a power fastball, basically allows that pitcher to get away with more mistakes than a guy throwing in the high. You know what I mean? So the power arm, you can get by with more mistakes. But with the if you got a cat that has a decline in his velo and his strikeout numbers are erased, then it becomes impossible for that cat to be a top of the rotation type pitcher. Would you agree with that?
I would definitely agree. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. So my point is that you as a pitching coach, well, let me back up. We know that a quality catcher is going to make a mediocre pitcher look better than what he is. Agree with that?
Absolutely.
And vice versa. You give me a quality catcher, he's going to make a lesser pitcher look better than what he really is. Right?
Yep.
Okay. So that being said, do you believe that in today's game, the long count pitchers. I agree with you wholeheartedly about first pitch strike, but the long count pitchers, the 3-ball pitchers always in the 3-ball count. Do you believe those type of cats have a true role, whether it be in the pen, rotation, setup, closer, or what have you? And the reason I'm asking is because I'm going to get to a point here. What's your thoughts on that? A 3-ball count pitcher. What do you got on that?
Well, the 3-ball count pitcher I see a lot, especially at the JUCO level.
Yeah.
That seems to be what's going on now. And I think what that is, because pitchers have learned to deal and watch hitters on the other side of the building work on launch angle and trying to be able to get not only, timing, but being able to get on access and being able to time you up. So so they're already sitting, fastball, but back in our day, we'd be pitching downhill, pitch to contact. We'd be breaking bats and getting ground balls. Now I'm trying to teach the kids, you got to learn to elevate and pitch up. And that's a hard pitch to command, is up in the zone. And because if you can command up in the zone, you're going to be able to get a lot more swing and misses and strikeouts these days in the professional baseball, as far as I'm concerned. But because they're now trying to hit up like that, and for years these pitchers have been trained to go down, I have a feeling that these power pitchers, that's why they're missing quite a bit, is because they're trying to go up where they haven't been pitching for quite a while.
Well, I think, Leon, Eddie, the entire panel, I think we all would agree that Greg Maddux, we talked about command a little bit earlier. Greg, he probably had the best command of anybody I've ever seen. He's able to throw 6 inches off the plate, et cetera, et cetera. When you talk about helping a pitcher's command, which command is almost like an intangible. How do you teach that? Can you teach that? And if you can teach it, how could you correct it? The only thing that I've ever seen that I can really kind of explain is that the only way to help command has to do with tempo and rhythm. That's where you get command. But I have never seen any pitching coach or anybody ever give a kid command. Agreeable?
No, I agree with that.
Greg, Leon.
No, go ahead, Eddie. Go ahead.
Isn't command basically just an ability to throw strikes with your pitches? I mean,
no, I don't think so, Eddie. I think control is ability to throw strikes. Command is
how much does that differentiate then, the command and control?
You can have control over the middle of the plate. Your command is where you're pitching to the black and you're hitting the black. So it's what part of the plate are you throwing the strikes? Even sometimes you want to pitch off the plate, like a Maddux and those kind of guys. That's where your command comes in. Whereas control is just throwing strikes. I get it, but command, that's a whole different ballgame.
But sometimes throwing strikes can get you in trouble.
No, exactly.
Let me add this real quick, Eddie. I had a conversation one-on-one with Greg Maddux, and we were in LA when he was with the Cubs, and we were talking about, and Dave Stewart. We had a similar conversation, and the statement is this: when you're a pitcher or a catcher at times, they said the hitter will tell you all the information you need to know. Is how that hitter makes his first step toward the ball, which gives a pitcher an idea how to either set him up or put him away or get him out based on location and movement. So when you go to command, Greg, I think a part of that command and control is saying if the hitter's reacting a certain way, if the shoulder's opening or over closing or leaning out, and he knows how to exploit that by throwing a pitch where he wants to throw. He could literally turn around. Greg told me, said, I'll turn around the shortstop and say, hey, ground ball's coming your way. And because of what the hitter has told him. And is that somewhere?
Yeah, no, you're 150% correct. And I probably the guy that a lot of pitchers have the uncanny ability to read swing paths. They read the swing path, and the one
There you go.
that
Exactly.
that probably one of the best ever at reading a swing path is Andy Pettit. I mean, he did not have overpowering stuff,
Right.
but he had the uncanny ability to pitch. We're talking about pitching into contact, et cetera, et cetera. Shit, he read the swing path. He would say high hand hitters like the ball low, low hand hitters like the ball up. Just look at the swing path and pitch opposite of that.
Right.
So that's where that comes in. And if you happen to have the ability to read a swing path, along with just having average command, then you're going to you're going to success. A guy by the name of Ron Guidry. You guys all know who Gator was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Cajun.
Well,
what's his name, Steve? What you call him, Steve?
They used to call him Louisiana Lightning.
Yeah, that's
There
right.
it is. I knew Steve.
I was advancing for the Yankees at the time, so I had to send my stuff to Gator every week. So I said, "Hey, man, what is it that what do you want, man? I'm sending all this stuff in." He said, "Hey, shit, he got those heaters going." He said, "All I want to know is who's hot and who's cold, and where can I pitch?" Simple as that. Yeah. Because he was big on just the ability to put the ball where you want it. But he did say, the bigger the arm, the less command. And if you have a big arm, your command doesn't have to be the same as if you have.
True. If you're a Rick Honeycutt or something.
Yeah, you don't need that kind of command, because big arms can get by with more mistakes than soft arms.
What I do a lot when I do work on command a lot with a lot of my kids, and what I've learned, especially when I'm working with a program that works with metrics and showing how their arm patterning and hip placement and where your thoracic spine is. It's a computer that tells me exactly how the person throws. The one thing that I've learned and has actually had success with on command is, pretty much the ball is going to go where the shoulder goes. So it's truly about extension and, being linear in that extension, because a lot of the pitchers, and that's what makes pro pitchers so great, because they're so violent downstairs and they create such inward rotation and external rotation and force. But if you just look when they're, especially like a Max Scherzer, how they extend their shoulder and getting their shoulder down and through or across, because most pitchers, they tend to have tons of side spin because they come across either with the lower half or the upper half. But the guys that tend to have the command are the ones that are more linear hip and shoulder. And that's why hip shoulder separation is so important.
Hey, Todd, don't you believe that every pitcher that's worth his salt got to have a swing and miss pitch?
Absolutely.
You got to,
yeah.
Swing and miss pitch. I was brought up in the sense that and let's just assume these guys have average command. You give me 1+ pitch with average command, you're going to compete. If you give me 2+ pitches with average command, you're going to win. If you give me 3+ pitches with average command, you're going to dominate. That's the order. 1, 2, 3. And so many, but I'm a big believer in the swing and miss pitch. You got to have a go-to pitch. It's your crises pitch. And I use it on my report. Crises situation. What crises pitch does he use?
Yeah, all your pitches should be able to have command up, down, left, right. But there's always going to be one that you can naturally throw and command altogether. Whether you can stay on top of the ball, cut it, slice it. There's some pitchers that naturally cut. Mariano Rivera. He's thrown one pitch his whole life. And people are saying, how can you do that with one pitch? Well, obviously it's his command, but he was good at early break and late break. He knew the type of batter. He knew the aggressiveness, so he can get that ball to snap late. He can get that ball to snap early, and that's where your timing was so disruptive, and that's why you couldn't hit him.
Well, hitting is timing, and the pitcher's job is to disrupt that timing. But you also look at a fly ball pitcher as an example, with shaky control and command, will cause him to be a great blow-up risk if that's the case. And it makes him more of a – you can't use that kind of guy in the back of the pin if he's a fly ball guy and has borderline average control and command. I mean, that's a recipe for the back end speculation of him closing the thing out. Fly ball pitchers, they kill you.
Steve, I could look at Steve. I know he's ringing up his head with some questions here. I know you have one. Throw it out there, Steve.
Well, yeah, I got a lot of questions here, but since we have some, professional scouts and some professional coaches on here, I kind of wanted to go back to what you guys were talking about, makeup and character and the intangibles. Everybody reads about the power arms and the power bats and what scouts are looking for there. But as a scout, and I want to throw this out to all four of you, maybe even starting with Todd here as a current coach in the college level, what are you looking for when you're scouting for intangibles, those intangibles that analytics aren't going to find on a stat sheet?
That's a great question.
That's a very good question. You want to look for that number one teammate. You want to have somebody that's going to come in, have the confidence in themselves, and somebody that is a great communicator. Those are the ones that I truly like to look at. And I know if I can get somebody that has the confidence and communicate, he's going to be somebody that can also teach when I'm doing something else. He'll be the guy that will make sure things are being done correctly, because especially at the JUCO level, now that you can go to college for free for 2 years, it's up to us as coaches to make sure that if you are that guy, that if you're going to be a D1 or a D2 or maybe NIA or something like that, it's our responsibility, if you're going to put that time and effort in and you are that guy, is to make sure that you're seen and have that opportunity to find a place to move forward.
No, I was going to turn it over to Greg and see what he talks about for intangibles to the youth as they're coming.
Let me get one thing in before Greg gets started, because I know Greg can answer this along with that question. And I have it's kind of a question statement. When we were growing up playing the game, we all consider ourselves pretty good hitters in our area. We always brag about being good hitters. Heck, even Eddie was a great hitter growing up, and he was a middle infielder. We never give middle infielders credit for being hitters. But to me, is what you guys were talking about earlier, and what Todd was talking about, the separations and mechanics and analytics. And I always thought, when we were growing up, if we even suspected a pitcher was overthinking what he wanted to throw instead of getting the ball and coming after us, if a guy threw a ball 95 away and he threw it 87 up and in, I mean, he didn't want to hit me. I had him. So when their mind is thinking about all these analytics or separations and mechanics and things that you scout, I don't care how hard they throw, and I don't care how hard they throw it up in the zone. In our day, if you got the ball up in the zone, you got hurt. That was our mentality. It had nothing to do with analytics. It had something to do with us intimidating each other. And I'm not going to let this pitcher get away with anything, and vice versa. So now pitchers and players are starting to hear the game and not see the game. So how do you separate the difference? Me and Eddie, we and you too, Greg, when we all grew up back in the day, our peers were playing. All we were trying to do was beat them or keep up with them. And so now with all the scientifics, the players are starting to hear it and trying to learn it. But they get on the mound and they're thinking about these mechanical things or the individual, subconscious and conscious are two different things. If in your subconscious mind, you're thinking about a mechanic, you can't 100% be focused on trying to get me out. So where there's that old school, new school separation. How do you?
Well, I think hitters learn how to hit by hitting. Players learn how to throw by throwing. I've always been absolutely, totally against changing the natural arm action of any player, whether it be pitcher, third base. It's a good way. That's a good way for injury. So I think you just got to play. Getting back to Steve, the intangible deal. When I look, the intangibles for me is about size, strength, speed, baseball IQ, the instinctive ability to be at the right place at the right time, the anticipation. Those are intangibles for me because those are the things you cannot teach. Those are God. Now you could improve upon them, but if they're not there in the first place, you're certainly not going to coach up a kid to have them. They were already there, and what a good coach or a good manager will do is bring what the player is born with to the maximum of his ability. That's when those kind of things turn into the skills that we look for. I tell you another intangible, and I think it's kind of undervalued in a sense. And we talked about it a little bit earlier about the makeup and the character. But the fear factor, I'm big on that. I think the fear factor is also an intangible. And I think once a player has fear, I'm not so sure you can get him out of it. Okay. So, I as far as an intangible, I'm big. Every game I see, that's what I'm looking for. As far as overall players, the ease of actions, I'm huge on. I'll get to a ballpark early, and I don't care what level it's at, but I'll get there early and sit in the press box and see who's coming out and watch their game preparation. That's a big indicator on this player's mental makeup about what he wants to do. So the intangibles is nothing more than abilities that you're born with. And, that's how I define it.
I'd agree, Greg. You know what, to keep it simple, Steve, natural instinct, confidence, that's it. That shows right away. You see that in a player right away. If they have that, then you've got something to work with there. And, and that goes a long ways. Going back to pitchers, I'm the furthest away from being able to talk pitching. The only thing I knew about pitchers, the only thing I knew about pitchers is that I knew how to read pitchers when they weren't throwing a pitch consistently. In other words, guy has 3 pitches and he's not getting 2 of them over for strikes. I knew that was happening. And so you read that, using that information, you know what your approach is. And that's the whole thing about that's the only thing that I would keep simple when it comes to pitchers. As far as velocity isn't going to do any, the harder these guys throw, I guarantee you hitters are going to adjust to it if they're not getting other pitchers on other pitches over the plate. If they're not throwing strikes with the other pitches, hitters are going to adjust it. Leon, how many times did you see a guy throwing hard? And I'll tell you, and it first started in high school with me when I faced Butch Metzger. Yeah. Butch Metzger and Greg, you played with Butch. And back then, Butch had trouble getting his curveball over. And Butch was known as one of the hardest throwing high schoolers at that time in our years there. And you know what? And you asked Butch. I owned Butch on a lot of days, and he'll admit that to people. But this was before he became a rookie of the year, co-rookie of the year with San Diego. when he started learning how to get that slider over for a strike, because all I do is sit back on a fastball on him. Yeah, they throw hard, but I tell you, big league hitters, professional hitters are going to adjust to velocity until you can throw that breaking pitch over or that changeup, and then
That's funny. That's funny because I'll have to talk. I'll tell Butch. Butch Metzger is now coaching at Kennedy High School, where he
right.
I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been coaching at Kennedy since 2005 with Mark Cole, Lavelle Friedman, and all those guys.
Okay.
Since I went over to Cosumnes River College, I brought Jason or Jay Lando, and then Butch Metzger came over as a pitching coach. So I was able to leave the school with two phenomenal professional athletes, and I just kept telling all the kids over there, they were all upset that I was leaving. I was going, no, just wait till Butch gets here. You're in better.
Oh yeah, they don't get much better than Butch.
You know what, hey, Eddie, you're talking about a hitter, and what you're saying is one of my pet peeves, and from a scouting standpoint, it's all about a hitter's approach. And believe it or not, there are a lot of guys to this day, baseball people, that still don't understand what an approach is. A lot of players and a lot of baseball people think that the approach is physical, and it's not. No. The approach is mental. Your approach starts in the hole when you're on deck. That's your approach, and
absolutely.
That is a huge part of hitting. I mean, it's one of the. I think every great hitter in the history of the game has had some kind of approach, special, and so I couldn't agree with you more on that one.
But don't you think, Greg, that approach, when you put it like that, when we're, I put it in the days game where now kids are getting prepared to put into action this mechanical approach that they've just been told to do. So now they're going to go up there. It's either they think that if they make it out, it doesn't work. Their approach is saying, oh my God, this mechanical approach doesn't work. Instead of having more of an emotional or mental approach based on what the pitcher's trying to do in that particular situation.
Well, I think that's a great point, Lee. That's a great point. And now the approach basically can be helped. It can be taught, but you got to have the people to teach it. You see?
Thank you.
Because a lot of kids don't understand. Approach, what the hell are you talking about? I went directly to the ball. That's not the approach. You know what I mean? So, the other, I just believe that give me a player that plays the game with freedom.
Yes.
I mean, I'm all on that. I love to see that. I love to see the confidence in the player. I think, again, as baseball people, we have to separate what's dependable versus exciting. You know what I mean? You have some exciting play. Some cats will make the exciting plays, but this other guy over here is just dependable. I mean, that he's good. Maybe he doesn't have a lot of flash and he doesn't have a lot of ad-lib and this and that, but dependable as hell. Well, I think where a lot of baseball people make the mistake, you got a guy that's going to make the great play once out of every 100 times. The rest of the time, he's just another guy, and they want to put a big-time label on this guy that makes the exciting play versus the guy that makes the routine play every day and gets the job done. Exactly. So to separate dependable versus exciting, you got to sit down and watch. Not be a fan, just watch the game, and you can see the separation.
But here's the bottom line to me. What you just said, Greg, exciting or dependable.
Right.
Now, you got Eddie at shortstop. He'll make that big play every now and then, but you can count on him making the play because we have to understand one thing about professional baseball. No matter what you look at it, it's still in the entertainment business.
It is.
Fans want to be entertained. Yeah. But at the same time, exciting don't always win you games. But you have to win or know how to win with your players by making the sure plays and getting the amount of outs that, you get 27 outs. You can't give away 30 and win ball games, because the bottom line, you still got to win, but you still got to be entertaining.
Right. No question about it. And we've all seen thousands of games and this, and we still don't have this thing figured out. You know what I mean?
Are we supposed to?
Baseball is the most humbling game in the world, and I think these type of conversations, you always learn. Anytime you talk baseball with others, you're always learning something. And that's the fascinating thing about this game.
The hardest thing. That's the hardest thing we have on our podcast, Greg, is keeping this thing to an hour, because we have to keep continuing to keep talking, because it's impossible to keep this thing to an hour, because there's no absolutes to this thing. How do you figure this thing out?
I got a question for the group. Can nervous hands play shortstop?
No.
Well, go ahead.
Eddie. I'd like you to define, though, nervous hands, because when you say nervous hands, my first thought is, well, what is the opposite of nervous hands? Nervous hands, opposite, I'm thinking somebody with stone hands, where those hands aren't moving. And so, but I think when you're talking nervous hands, maybe you're talking a mental thing that creates this nervousness. Then I would say too much movement, no good. Too much movement, no good. On the flip side, like I said, you're going stone hands. That means the guy is unsure. He's afraid to move his hands. And once again, you're going back to that fear of making an error, or that fear of not making the play, that creates that stone, slow hands thing. So nervous hands, to a degree, if you have control of that mentally and you are in motion, and it's very minute sometimes, that motion, your whole body, the blood is flowing, and you've got that, nobody sees that movement, but you feel that movement within yourself. That to me could be nervous hands, where you're ready. But if it's a mental thing, then no, it's no good.
All right. So let me kind of piggyback off that a little bit, Eddie. And this is, again, for the whole group. Leon, you'll fit right in. Why is it then, with infielders, why is it that we can go in to out, but never out to in? So in other words, the middle infielders can go out, but corner guys never go in. What's the reason behind that?
Versatility of footwork. Athleticism in the sense of mobility.
I was hoping you would say that. So you're telling me now that corner guys do not have the athleticism to play the middle? In general,
yes. There are guys that can do it.
Yes, yeah. As you profile them.
Yeah.
Like Greg, they tried to make Derek third baseman because he's a good athlete. He's 6'5". Remember that?
I seen him.
You saw him, right?
Yeah.
But now, how would you profile? Now, he's an athlete. He moves. He's tall, but he's still not that stereotypical guy that gets that really quick first step that can react to a ball left and right. But he has that flexibility at first base where he can move up and down, in and out, balls in the dirt. He can handle that with that glove, and he profiles that way.
Derek was a classic case of a player that played the game so easy.
Yes.
He almost looked lackadaisical. I mean, he did it easy.
Yeah.
What Derek was, and we can talk all day about Derek, bottom line, we're buying a bat here, partner.
That's it.
So
Yeah.
the catch and throw thing, yeah, that's great, but we're buying a bat, and that was his trump card. You're talking about an all-star player. He hit when he came out of the womb. I mean, you know what I mean? And then with the extra work that you put in and gave him, it was already there when he was born. It's in the team. That he's one of those kind of guys that, is that 10%. That by a higher power. That's what it was.
Exactly.
One other question I wanted to ask you guys was, is it harder to evaluate players at the amateur level when, to Leon's statement earlier, when the coaches are controlling the game by like calling pitches and positioning players? Is it harder to evaluate when that happens?
Well, evaluate skill, but they mental side, because they're not going to know enough about the game. They're not going to be well rounded. They're just going to be specifically trained on what that one coach is telling them what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think at the lower level, at least for me, whether it be high school, college, rookie league or something like that, you're more or less scouting tools. Okay, you're not really scouting performance.
That's a good point. Yes.
Yeah, you're scouting tools, man, and on an amateur level, you're primarily projecting, and it's how much do you want to project. So you know how we come out in baseball American, everybody says, "Oh man, this kid's a prospect. We hear the term prospect all the time. So the question now becomes, well, when does the prospect label leave a kid?
Yeah, when is he not a prospect anymore?
When is he not a prospect? And if you ask that question, you're going to get some answers that you would be amazed of. And Leon and I were talking about, you're no longer a prospect when you're unable to project. So when you can't project a player anymore, it's impossible for that player to be a prospect. It's common sense. So getting back to your original question, I mean, the amateur player, you look at the body type,
Yep.
You look at the body type. The body type will tell you a lot. How much can you add to that frame? Is this kid physically mature? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you have a kid that's physically mature, let's say a high school kid, he's physically mature. He has gobs of polish on him. I mean, he has all the actions. He's really been manufactured. Those kind of kids, how much can you really project?
Yeah.
Not much.
They ain't much more to
him. Well, because you don't know if he's topped out yet at that young age.
Well, I think as far as you don't know, but if he has so much polish already, and he's that thick body, strong, ball type guy.
Yeah.
You really got to ask yourself, how much bigger and stronger is he going to get?
Yeah.
What other than strength and experience, what else is there?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the $1 million question right there.
But you taught me this years ago, Greg, when we were talking about, because you've been scouting for so long, little things to look at. You told me things that I never forgot. You probably don't even remember you told me. A kid with big ankles, their ankles are already grown out. They're not going to grow anymore. So they may be great at the high school level, but they may not get any better. They hit a wall at A-ball or AA. Those guys are growing and passing them up. And then another one you told me, this is a really good one. Redheads. a redheaded catcher. He said, "Don't watch out for Eddie." It's true. A redheaded catcher. They're fair skinned. They get beat up by heat. They can't last back there. That's the greatest one you ever told me.
Yeah. It's just like a baseball player that walks on his tiptoes. Got that little tip. That shows a lack of balance.
Yeah.
It's all kind of little things.
You got to write a book, Greg.
I
What's
know
that?
he needs to
Gotta
write
write
a
a
book.
book about all those little yeah.
It has nothing to do with analytics. It's about noticing those things as to whether they're going to be a good player or not.
Yeah, I got one for you. You know, short arm players. You know, some guys. You know, the little short arm stocky. Have you noticed? And you guys played with them, I'm sure. But short arm players, they can hit the ball middle in with no problem.
Bob
They
Horner.
can turn on some stuff. Versus the long limb guys got to extend, you know, to get their power.
Yep.
Look out for those short, the Pete Rose type arms that go to his pockets and all that kind of short,
Yeah.
Those kind of guys. It's the damnest
That's
thing
right.
I've ever seen. Damnest thing.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. You can name them, you know.
Well, Leon, you know, I hate to do this every time, but I know we're coming up on our hour again.
I told you, Greg. That's when you get heat up.
Yeah.
Just getting
That's
started.
Steve's job. Steve's job is to come in and let us know because we got to go to a certain time. But this is what we do, and this is why I love you guys being on here. And as we kind of get to wrapping up, I just want you. This is beautiful. Just the conversation. It always goes too fast. I'll tell you that right now. And I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate you being on. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, I think maybe we should go around the table one more time and see if anybody has any comments for the youth on scouting and the current amateur coaching.
Todd and Greg, I'm going to leave and then go to Eddie. You guys leave your final thought for the kids.
The only thing I would like to say is if you and your child are into baseball for fun and an activity and looking for something for them to do and to keep them occupied, participate in Little League. But if you really want to learn the game of baseball and challenge, go out, do your research, find a real good academy or some sort of, baseball program in your local area that you can go in, try out a couple of times, see if you fit in, and be able to learn the game correctly.
Yeah, the only thing I would say, Steve, is keep your goals low to start out with. Have fun so that your expectations aren't so great that you don't attain those expectations right away and get lose your confidence.
I agree with Eddie. I think first and foremost, love the game, respect the game, have fun at the game, understand your limitations, and I hope to heck that these little league coaches out there take a little extra time and study the game so you can help these kids. The longer a player has a weakness, the tougher it is to break when he gets to the high school, collegiate, professional level. I think that if you got to remember that these kids are a work in progress. Okay, let's take your time and let's not rush them. Don't take away what the kid has to force him to do something that he doesn't have. Let's not change his natural ability. Don't take that away from him. Let's expand on that. So, the game is hard. The game is hard enough on these kids. I think our job is to make it a little more simpler, so they can have a little bit more success. So that's about what I have on this.
Yeah, and I'll say this: there's a book written, and I refer to this a lot, called "The Outliers" by Malcolm Gladwell, and he has a thing in there. We talk about the 10,000-hour rule. You guys have probably heard about that.
Oh, yeah.
Kids that go out and really put their time in and accumulate the years, they always going to get better if they know how to go out and spend that time the way we had time, because we played a lot of pickup ball without coaches.
Right.
Nowadays, the coaches are taking credit for all those hours. I mean, if you practice 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, that's 10 hours a week. And the coaches kind of control that when you play games. So they're taking credit for the hours. I like to give those hours back to the kids, because for me, the message I would like to give coaches, and I do this a lot, is telling Greg this the other day, is it's not so much the coach that don't know, it's the coach that don't know he don't know. And we have too many coaches out there that they think they know it all, but they do not want to admit that they don't know. And then they play guessing games with the kids, and the kids suffer. So the kids aren't being allowed to learn. The learnings, when we start playing at 7, 8, 9 years old, those are critical years where you let kids suffer a little bit through failures and pain. And, now the parents are protecting kids from being hurt. You don't get cut from a ball club. You get participation trophies. I just like to be able to give that, the message that we talk on this podcast is to give that message to coaches that sometimes let the kids make up their own mind on things, find out what they will do, because failure in baseball is not fatal. We always say success is not final and failure is not fatal. And let the kids learn how to suffer a little bit in this game, feel what little pain there is in it. And we, as we do this podcast to try to keep stressing to some of these coaches, I like to start a movement myself and get our game back, because I see analytics as being part of the game informationally at the back of the book, but don't put the analytics in the front of the book and say this is how you got to play the game through analytics. Let the kids play. That's the way I see it.
Thanks, guys. I again want to thank our baseball experts tonight, Mr. Eddie Cervantes, Mr. Greg Orr, Mr. Todd Sullivan, and of course, Mr. Leon Lee. And the main podcast site is Talking Baseball with Leon Lee.podbean.com. And we hope to talk baseball with you all again soon.